Fuck it. I don't have an intro made, so let's just do some wannabe gangster shit real quick. Fuck it. Let's go.
Welcome to Nahh, covering sports of all sorts. If there's any breaking news, you know we got the report. Our one and only goal is to make this your podcast resort. Get you your favorite team updates, both on and off of the court. Breaking down everything, NFL, NBA, MMA. Not much a soccer fan, but might even cover Team USA. Is KD leaving Golden State? Is Jordan really the GOAT? Is LeBron comfortable in LA? We'll keep the team afloat. If GSP fights Khabib, will he fight him toe to toe? And a Wilder Fury rematch, who's always gonna go? We'll cover everything and anything you wanna know. Whatever it may be, we'll break it all down on the show.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to Nahh Podcast. I am your host, Sonny Nahh. This is going to be a preview and breakdown episode of UFC 244, Masvidal versus Diaz. But before we get started, of course, as I always like to start it off, just want to give a quick shout out to my 4 sponsors, starting with Champs Boxing Club. They are my local boxing gym in Danbury, Connecticut, located on 128 East Liberty Street. If you're ever looking for a new gym to come to, or even just want to come check it out, stop by, look for AJ, tell him I sent you, and he'll get you all taken care of and set up. Next up, boy, SmokieHash. He produces CBD products from edibles to oils, lotions, even if you hit him up and ask him to make something that, he's never even done, I guarantee you he'll try. But yeah, if you don't know the benefits of CBD, I suggest that you look into it. Many great benefits from taking care of, chronic pain, to anxiety, depression, anything like that. And if you're interested in, trying it out, look him up on Instagram at SmokieHash LLC. Shoot him a message, tell him your story, and I'm sure he'll take care of you. Next up, TK's American Cafe. They're my local sports bar, located right down the road from me at 255 White Street. Great environment, great place to eat, great staff. If you're ever in town looking for some good food and, just a great place to chill out, come by. They'll take great care of you. They are arguably the best wings in town, arguably the best wings in the state of Connecticut. And they also have over 78 flavors of wings. So, hey, if you're a wing guy, come by. Or girl, sorry. Come by. Try them out. See how it is. I promise you will not regret it. And last but not least, my boys at My Nerdy Neighbor. They are a electronic repair shop down in Mississippi. They're down in Mississippi. I'm up in Connecticut, but they do have a service where you could send down any of your damaged goods, and they'll fix it up at a timely manner and send it right back to you at an affordable price as well. Yeah, if you looking to get anything fixed up, you could go on their website, which is www.mynerdyneighbor.net. Shoot them a message, tell them I sent you, and they'll get you all set up and get you all taken care of. Alrighty, now that we got my people taken care of, let's get right into the point of the episode. It is going to be the preview and breakdown episode of UFC 244, Masvidal versus Diaz. As usual, I'm going to go down the whole card, and I'm going to break down one prelim fight that I'm looking most forward to. And the one I chose is probably not going to be a surprise. But after I do that one prelim fight, we're going to move on, and I'm going to break down the whole main card and give my predictions and whatnot. But, alright, let's go down the card. The main card, which is on pay-per-view, of course. The main event, which is a 5-round welterweight bout between Jorge Masvidal, 34-13, taking on Nate Diaz, who was 20-11. And the co-main event, it's a middleweight bout between Kelvin Gastelum, who is 15-4 with 1 no contest, taking on Darren Till, who is 17-2-1. Before that, it's a welterweight bout between Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, who is 14-4-1, taking on Vicente Luque, who is 17-6-1. Before that, it's a heavyweight bout between Derek Lewis, who is 21-7, 1 no contest, taking on Blagoy Ivanov, who is 18-2 and 1 no contest. And to kick off the main card, it is a lightweight bout between Kevin Lee, who is 17-5, taking on Gregor Gillespie, who is undefeated at 13-0. And on the prelims, which is on ESPN2, the featured prelim bout is a light heavyweight bout between Corey Anderson, who is 12-4, and he's taking on Johnny Walker, who is 17-3. Before that, it's a featherweight bout between Shane Burgos, who is 12-1, and he's taking on Makwan Amirkhani, who is 15-3. Before that is a middleweight bout between Brad Tavares, who is 17-5, taking on Edmund Shabazian, who is undefeated at 10-0. And to kick off the prelims is a heavyweight bout between the Pitbull Andrei Arlovski, who is 28-18 and 2 no contests, taking on Jair Renzo Rozenstuik, who is 8-0 undefeated. A lot of undefeated fighters on this card. And on the early prelims, which is on Fight Pass, the featured early prelim bout is a women's flyweight bout between Caitlin Chukagian, who is 12-2, and she's taking on Jennifer Maia, who is 17-5-1. Before that is a welterweight bout between Lehman Good, who is 20-5 and 1 no contest, taking on Chance Rakantri, who is 14-3. And to kick off the whole card, it's a featherweight bout between Julio Arce, who is 16-3, and he's taking on Hakeem Duadu, who is 10-1-1. Alright, now that we went down the whole card, I'm going to do that one prelim fight that I said I was looking most forward to, and probably no surprise, it's going to be the light heavyweight bout between Johnny Walker taking on Corey Anderson. Let's get right into the last 3 fights, starting with Johnny Walker. His last fight was against Misha Cirkunov. He won that fight by KO in round 1 in March 2019. Before that, he fought Justin Ledet, and he won that fight by KO as well in round 1 in February 2019. And before that, he fought Khalil Roundtree, and he won that fight by KO in round 1 in November 2018. As for Corey Anderson, his last 3 fights, last one being against Ilir Latifi, which he won by unanimous decision in December 2018. Before that, he fought my hometown zone, Glover Teixeira, and he beat Glover by unanimous decision, unfortunately, in July of 2018. And before that, he fought Patrick Cummins, and he won that fight by unanimous decision as well, and that was in April 2018. When talking about this fight, right away, I got to mention that Corey is giving up 2 inches in height and 3 inches in reach to Walker. Obviously, we all know how good and how unorthodox and, creative of a striker that Walker is, and Corey would have a really bad time trying to keep this fucking fight standing and keep it on the feet, Corey's last fight was against Ilir Latifi, and he kept that fight standing the whole time and just outclassed Latifi. But, in that fight, Corey had a huge height advantage and a huge reach advantage. And he was just completely able to keep Latifi at the end of all of his punches the whole fucking fight and just keep him at his range and keep him away with the punches and the long, keep him away with the jabs and the long punches. Granted, both of them did, they both went for 4 takedown attempts, but neither of them landed one of them. But on the feet, Corey was able to fucking, just keep the fucking fight at his reach and just pretty much played conquistador to, the bull that was Latifi. This fight against Walker, though, I very much highly doubt that it'll be anything close to that fight, Corey will have to shoot for takedowns all fucking fight, and if he can land them, he needs to keep the fight on the ground for as long as fucking possible. You know what I mean? And if he tries to trade with Walker, more than likely he'll get caught up in a fucking sequence, and he'll get countered. You know what I mean? Corey always dominates his fights when he applies his wrestling and is a heavy wrestling-based fight, And if he doesn't apply it this fight, it's probably gonna be a very rough and a very embarrassing night for him in New York. As long as he doesn't get caught up in the fucking emotions and straight up just tries to bang out with Walker and doesn't do that and just sticks to a solid grappling game plan, he could very well win this fucking fight. You know what I mean? Especially when Walker throws like leg kicks and body kicks, Corey should try to perfectly time grabbing one of the fucking legs and shoot for the takedown right there. But, at the same time, he needs to keep his guard up, like with the other hand that he's not grabbing the leg with, just in case if, Walker fakes going down low and throws the fucking head kick. Kind of like how Vince did and, knocked the fuck out of Corey Anderson when he did that. Coming into the fight, though, Corey averages little under 5 takedowns in 3-round bouts and lands the takedown at a 50% ratio, which says that as long as he sticks to the game plan, it could be done. Walker, on the other hand, he has landed no takedowns or even attempted a fucking takedown in all 3 of his UFC bouts, and that's obviously because he ends the fight in less than a fucking minute in. So it doesn't even give a chance for either of them to fucking shoot for a takedown. If Corey's can straight up make this into a grinding style and just pretty much make it a boring kind of fight, that's his best chance to win. Corey lands a little over 4 significant shots a minute, and has a striking defense of 59%. But that's usually when he gets the takedown and gets on top and just completely dominates from that position. You know what I mean? So again, he needs to get this shit to the fucking ground, point blank. As for Johnny Walker, though, he lands almost 6 significant strikes per minute and lands at a 69% at the time. But his striking defense is at 27%. And of course, that's when you hear that number, it sounds fucking horrible. But, again, that's only because he ends his fucking fight so quick. And those 2-3 strikes that he takes in that fucking minute of the fight is what, adds up and makes the fucking stats look like he has no defense. But regardless, for Walker to win this fight pretty much, he needs to, use that long and lanky size advantage and make Corey back up and fight backwards all fight. And also get him aggravated as fuck, with the pop jab and pop jab counters, everything that he lunges with, with his own strikes, he needs to counter him right away and get him aggravated as fuck, get him in his emotions pretty much, Of course, obviously, a main key for Johnny is to stuff those fucking takedown attempts, because they will come, and, if Corey's smart. But, at the same time, it's been shown that Walker is very, very nice with timing his knees. And he even has 4 finishes with knees in his career. So at the same time, when I say Corey needs to shoot for takedowns, he needs to make sure that they're properly timed and, not slow and lazy and shit. Because if Walker times that fucking knee right on the entry of that takedown, it's fucking over. No ifs, ands, or buts. If Johnny gets pushed up against the fence during the takedown attempt, from Corey, and then Walker needs to utilize those short elbows that he's really fucking nice at. Like in his fight against Khalil Roundtree, he hit Khalil with like 3 short elbows. He had him in the clinch, and he looked really strong in the clinch, and he just crumbled him with like 3 elbows that just completely echoed out through the arena, the noise that it fucking made. You know what I mean? That shit was fucking nuts. If you ain't never seen that shit, I'll probably have a highlight somewhere up here, but it'll probably not have the sound of it. But, fuck it, I'll put the video with sound just for that real quick.
Oh, good short elbow. And another short elbow.
But, yeah, my prediction for this fight, though, I'm going to go with Johnny Walker on this one. Obviously the favorite of the fight and the, the popular pick. But, I just think he's going to be too big and too strong for Corey Anderson. I think he's going to be able to stuff the takedowns and, just do his thing and, just use his usual creative and tricky striking. And, he should just have a good night, a good fun night like he plans to have. And like I said earlier, if Corey could keep the emotions out of it and just apply the right game plan, the right grappling game plan, he could definitely pull off the upset. But as I was typing these notes earlier, I got a notification from one of the MMA pages that I follow, and the post was, an interview with Corey Anderson, and he was saying some shit like, oh, I don't like the dude, or I don't care for him. If he dies, he dies. Shit like that, you know what I mean? What? Like, that just shows that he might already be in his fucking emotions already, you know what I mean? And that could be a fucking problem for him. You know what I mean? So it shows that he seems aggravated already, or I don't know. No offense to him or anything, of course, but if he's already aggravated, he's gonna get super aggravated with the type of style that Johnny Walker fights with. You know what I mean? And I feel like he's just gonna end up getting dropped. That's what I predict, at least. Walker by KO or TKO in round 1 or round 2. Alright. Going into the main card, the fight to kick it off is a lightweight bout between Kevin Lee taking on Gregor Gillespie. We're going to go into the last 3 fights for each fighters. Starting with Kevin Lee, his last fight was against Rafael dos Anjos. He lost that fight by submission via arm triangle in round 4 in May 2019, early this year. Before that, he fought Al Iaquinta. He lost that fight by unanimous decision, and that was in December of 2018. Before that, he fought Edson Barboza. He won that fight by TKO in round 5 of April 2018. As for Gregor Gillespie, his last fight was against Yancy Medeiros. He won that fight by TKO in round 2 in January 2019. Before that, he fought Vince Pichel. He won that fight via submission with a arm triangle in round 2 in June 2018. And before that, he fought Jordan Rinaldi. He won that fight by TKO in round 1 in January 2018. Alright, going into the breakdown though, going into this fight, Kevin Lee is going to have a 2-inch height advantage and a huge 6-inch reach advantage. And, Kevin Lee usually has a reach advantage in every fight that he has. But if you've, seen or listened to my past breakdowns that involved Kevin Lee, I've always said that he just doesn't know how to utilize his reach like he really should. You know what I mean? Take this shit off. But yeah, he definitely, he has good kicks, and he knows how to use his kicks, and he has good size advantage in most of his fights, and he knows how to use that size advantage, especially when going for a takedown. But and when he gets a takedown, he usually gets the fight down and holds the top position for long periods of time. But when it's on the feet and it stays on the feet, more times than not, he starts getting pieced the fuck up. With that said, Gregor is almost the same way, same style of fighter, but I believe he has better stand-up. In my opinion, Gregor does his best work when he takes the fight to the ground, obviously, and just straight up beats the shit out of his opponents and just dominates them down there. Regardless of whatever size, disadvantage that he gives up, he always manages to get the fucking fight to the ground and, just dominates down there. With Kevin Lee being a, wrestling-based fighter and a very strong one, this fight could be a lot more competitive than what a lot of people think is going to happen, you know what I mean? A lot of people think Gregor's going to come in and just do what he usually does and just dominate the whole fucking fight from bell to bell. But with both men having a very similar style in approaches and game plan, I think this could be a very fun stylistic clash. Looking at the stats of both fighters, though, they both land the same amount of significant strikes at just about 3.5 a minute, and both have a striking accuracy of around 50%. When it comes to absorbing strikes, Gregor takes a little less than 2 strikes a minute, and Lee absorbs over 3. But both of their striking defense is a little over 50%. So again, very similar in that aspect. But when it comes to takedowns, they do fight similar, like I said, but Gregor has a much more relentless, style and pushes forward and, goes for his takedowns all fucking fight and doesn't stop until he fucking gets that shit. You know what I mean? Kevin Lee averages a little over 3 takedowns in 15 minutes, and Gregor, on the other hand, averages over fucking 7. And that's fucking crazy. You know what I mean? He has a very similar style to Khabib, but Khabib has shown, that sometimes he gets careless, and he has been caught, like in his last fight against Poirier, and even in his fight against Michael Johnson. He got careless and he got caught. Granted, he finished both fights, but, there's been times where he gets careless. Gregor, on the other hand, he doesn't let himself get caught up in shit like that, you know what I mean? And he has just one game plan, and he sticks to it the whole fucking fight, no matter who the fucking person he's fighting, you know what I mean? Or wherever the fuck the fight goes. He has that same game plan. And when it comes to cardio, I think Gregor is levels ahead of Kevin Lee. It's almost as if when Gregor's opponents start to gas out and get tired, Gregor gets stronger, you know what I mean? In Kevin Lee's fight with RDA, he got taken down 4 times by him. If RDA could, I ain't trying to be that guy doing MMA math, but if RDA takes him down 4 times and, my man Gregor averaging 7 takedowns a fucking fight, who knows? He could probably take him down 5-6 times. But, granted, that was a 5-round fight against RDA, but still, that's a lot when you compare, those stats to a lot of Kevin Lee's past fights. But that was also at lightweight. That was also at welterweight. And, Kevin Lee came in looking really strong that fucking fight. But with this fight, going back to lightweight, he's going to go back to cutting all that fucking weight. And that could play a big factor for him. I honestly see this fight going one of 2 ways, which is either being a competitive grappling chess match, or Gregor does what he does and he dominates this fucking fight. With that being said, though, my prediction is the second of the two. And I think Gregor, he comes in and just does what he usually does and just grind the opponent out and just dominate him from bell to bell. Lee has shown to gas out and has shown to get annoyed when he starts losing rounds. And this fight, he'll probably be the most annoyed he's ever been fighting someone like Gregor. But like I said, it could be a very competitive fight. But I want to think that this will be a pretty solid win for Gregor, and he'll win either by unanimous decision or a submission, and more than likely an arm triangle, because that's pretty much his favorite fucking submission down there. Thought I had a video playing. I was about to be tight. Alright, next fight on the card is a heavyweight bout between Derek Lewis versus Blagoy Ivanov. Going into the last 3 fights, starting with Derek Lewis. His last fight was against Junior Dos Santos, which he lost by KO in round 2. I forgot to put the dates. Before that, though, he fought Cormier. He lost that fight by submission with a rear naked choke in round 2 in November 2018. And before that, he fought Alexander Volkov, and he won that fight by KO in round 3 after he was losing just about every second of that fight. And, caught Volkov slipping, and Volkov got careless as fuck and got knocked the fuck out. But yeah, Derek won that fight by KO in round 3 in October 2018. As for Blagoy Ivanov, his last fight was against Tai Tuivasa, and he won that fight by unanimous decision in June 2019. Before that, he fought Ben Rothwell. He won that fight by unanimous decision as well in March of 2019. And before that, he fought Junior Dos Santos, and he lost that fight by unanimous decision in July of 2018. Alright, going into the breakdown, though. So, this fight really doesn't need to be broken down, too technically. We all know what both fighters bring to the table, with Derek being a slugfest knockout artist, and, Blagoy being a more technical striker, and more so known for his grappling prowess outside of MMA, Derek is the bigger of the two with a 4-inch height advantage and a 6-inch reach advantage, as most opponents have when they fight Blagoy, because, Blagoy is just a smaller dude when it comes to heavyweights. But yeah, Blagoy never has any problem fighting on the feet with anyone, no matter the fucking size disadvantage that he gives up, As I said, though, Blagoy is, known for his grappling background, but if you see his only 3 fights in the UFC, he's never even attempted a fucking takedown until his last fight against Tai Tuivasa, which is fucking crazy to me. With a wrestling pedigree that he has, with his sambo credentials and shit, and he didn't attempt one until his recent fight, and he was even beating Tai Tuivasa in the striking department in that fight, and he didn't even need to go for the takedown or anything, but it came and he took it. But Blagoy, he loves to throw, looping overhooks over the top. And he loves to land those short uppercuts when he gets close and when on the inside. But only issue is that, the only way, in my opinion, the way to beat Derek is to, be in and out with the shots. Just like how Junior Dos Santos did it. But Junior Dos Santos has, a really long reach. And Blagoy does not have that. So Blagoy has to get on the inside and, kind of stay on the inside to do his best work. But, only issue with that is, anytime someone throws at Derek, he usually throws his punch right back, no matter what. Kind of like Ngannou, you know what I mean? Blagoy has good success when fighting on the inside, but it could cost him this fight. And if he stays in there for, long periods of times, he's probably gonna fucking, get fucking caught. It's shown that he has a really good chin too, but, it's Derek Lewis. He needs to be in and out with the shots and, beat Derek's body up too when he's on the inside and slow him down, slow the big guy down with those body shots. As it's shown, Derek's cardio is not the greatest at all, and Blagoy, he usually has, decent cardio where he keeps the same composed pace throughout the whole fight. Blagoy also needs to implement that fucking wrestling though, you know what I mean? I know he probably believes that he could beat Derek in a stand-up fight, and he probably could. But this dude, man, you know what I mean? You don't want to fucking risk it. Just have a fucking perfect performance and implement, what you're best at. Get the fight to the ground, grind him out, tire him out, just like exactly how Cormier did it when he fought him, Lewis has been taken down multiple times in his fights, and there should be no reason why Blagoy doesn't go for a takedown this fucking fight, you know what I mean? If Roy Nelson could take Derek down 7 fucking times, then Blagoy, you know, I mean, he should just fucking get a couple takedowns this fucking fight, you know. When it comes to the significant strike stats, though, Derek lands a little over 2 and 2.5 per minute, and Blagoy lands over 3.5 a minute. But when it comes to significant strikes absorbed, Derek takes a little over 2.5 as well, and Blagoy takes over 4, which could play a big factor. But because Derek doesn't throw, a high volume of punches, it could not be a factor, But that all depends on how Derek approaches this fight and how he comes in. But my prediction for this fight, though, as long as Blagoy comes into this fight with a grappling and smothering game plan, like how, Daniel Cormier did, he should have no problem winning this fight, and it should be an easy night for him. As long as he implements that fucking game plan, though, If he comes in and just tries to keep this fight standing the whole fucking time, like he's recently been doing, it could cost him. You know what I mean? But I'd like to think that he's going to come into this fight smart, and I think he trains at AKA as well, matter of fact. I didn't put that down in my notes, but I believe he trains at AKA too. So he trains with Cormier. So there's no fucking way that he, now it's officially no fucking way that he shouldn't implement that fucking same game plan. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'd like to think he's going to come in smart and just grind it out for a decision win. Sorry, Derek Lewis. I am a big fan. You're funny as shit, but yeah. Alright. Next fight on the card, it is the welterweight bout between Stephen Wonderboy Thompson taking on Vicente Luque. Going into the last 3 fights, starting with Stephen Thompson. His last fight was against Anthony Pettis. He lost that fight by KO in round 2 in March 2019, early this year. Probably upset of the fucking year. Before that, he fought Darren Till. He lost that fight by unanimous decision in May of 2018. Before that, he fought Jorge Masvidal, and he won that fight by unanimous decision in November 2017. As for Vicente Luque, his last fight was against Mike Perry. He won that fight by split decision in August 2019. Before that, he fought Derek Krantz. He won that fight by KO in round 1 of May 2019. And before that, he fought Brian Barberena, and he won that fight by TKO in round 3 of February 2019. Alright, let's get into the breakdown, though. Man, I'm a big fan of both of these guys, and I actually interviewed Luque about 2 months ago. I'll put the video up here somewhere. I'm not sure how that YouTube shit works, but it's possible. So I'm gonna put the video up there somewhere. But yeah, if you guys want to check it out, check it out. If you never checked it out before, leave a thumbs up and share if you could. That'd be awesome. But yeah, let's get right into it. I'm gonna do my best to be as unbiased as possible. But alright, so Thompson has a 1-inch height advantage, but both fighters have the same reach of 75 inches. As we know, Thompson is a more of a composed fighter who fights very long and always in that sideways karate stance, always bouncing. And he loves to pop that jab all fight and picks and chooses the shots that he throws, and usually throws one at a time and not usually in combos unless it's the 1-2 or a 1-2 that ends with a head kick over the top. He lands a little over 3.5 significant strikes per minute, whereas Luque is more of a brawler and always takes some to give some, and has no fucking problem doing that in any fight that he's in. And he has the same approach every fucking fight. He averages over 5 significant strikes per minute, but like I said, he takes some to give some, and he absorbs over 4 per minute. Thompson does his best when keeping the opponent on the outside, and on the end of his punches and his kicks. He's a very creative kicker with his spinning back kicks as well. So that's something that Luque is definitely gonna have to look out for. But yeah, he's another thing that makes Thompson great is that he's never stationary. He's always moving and never stays in one spot at once. For too long of a time. And Luque, he does his best when he's aggressive. And gets close and throws blitzing strikes, but he's really good at mixing up elbows and knees, like we've seen in his fight against Mike Perry, where he completely fucking crumbled Mike Perry's nose, and his fight with Barberena, where he ended that with a knee, after going fucking punch for punch, straight up phone booth fight. But yeah, he landed the knee and got the knockout. When it comes to takedowns, though, neither fighter averages over 1 takedown a fight, so I don't see that being a factor in this fight. But if it does, happen to be a factor, then I see that being on the side of Luque. I see Luque being the one getting that takedown. But regardless, I think Wonderboy has to stay on his bike all fucking fight and make Luque follow and chase him. The whole fucking fight. As he usually does in his bouts. Pretty much play cat and mouse the whole fucking fight with his opponent, And he'll have to do that this fight and do it really well. He needs to use Luque's aggression against him and circle away every fucking time Luque comes blitzing forward. Don't engage and try to, you could try to land one counter, but if the counter is not there, circle the fuck away and get right back to the center every time Luque comes forward blitzing. And also, both guys should utilize a good amount of fucking leg kicks. But more so Luque. With Thompson, like I said, having that sideway karate stance at all times, that lead leg will always be there, damn near asking to be fucking kicked. You know what I'm saying? And if Luque could do some damage to that lead leg and stop Thompson from bouncing around all fight, then he could have a lot of success in the pocket, whereas Wonderboy can't bounce around and, circle out and get away. Pretty much one fighter has to, keep this fight on the outside to win, and the other needs to get on the inside to win. I don't need to, say who has to do what. You should know right there. If Luque wants to win, he needs to dictate the pressure, and he has to fight the fight that he always does, which is come in fucking super aggressive and always be first when striking. You can't wait, because if you wait for Thompson to strike first and often, then Luque is going to be doing more waiting than fighting. You know what I mean? And that's a fucking fact. Watch Wonderboy's second fight with Woodley. He needs to strike first, strike fast, and strike hard. Luque does. Wonderboy is not known for, that one-shot drop power, that one-shot knockout. And Luque has a crazy chin regardless, and it's shown, So I think Luque could put himself in danger in his blitzing sequences and, get on the inside with those looping strikes and not have to worry about, Thompson's power and with him landing that one-shot counter KO shit, Pretty much make this a very grimy and dirty fight, dirty boxing, the clinch, etc. All the above, Pretty much just be fucking aggressive, man, and do not show any respect to Thompson until after the fight. I know Thompson's a great dude, and Luque's an amazing dude too. Both humble as fuck, but in this fight, I feel like the issue when fighting Thompson is a lot of people show him way too much fucking respect. And, he's a really good guy. I don't blame them, but I feel like that kind of fucks up people's approach when fighting him, But going to my prediction for this fight, though, it's a very hard pick for me. Either guy can win this fight as long as they, fight how they fight and not get baited into, the other's fucking web, But I think I'm gonna have to go with the aggression of Luque. I can see Luque just get in his face all fight and make it into a dog fight, which will play into his advantage. If you pressure Wonderboy, that's usually when he doesn't do his best. Luque is coming into this fight also like really hot on a 6-fight win streak, with 5 of those ending in stoppage. You know what I mean? And Wonderboy, on the other hand, is on a 2-fight losing streak and is 1-3-1 in his last 5. So this is honestly putting all the bias shit aside. With me interviewing Luque and whatnot, which I'm gonna put the video again up here just in case you forgot to click it earlier. Check it out, leave a thumbs up, share. But putting all that bias shit aside, I think I'm just gonna go with the fighter who's had the most recent success and who's pretty much been hot recently, and that's Luque. And I think he's gonna get it done either by TKO or by decision, whether it be a split decision or unanimous. I think he gets it done. All right. Now, going into the co-main event of the evening, it is a middleweight bout between Kelvin Gastelum taking on Darren Till. Going into the last 3 fights, starting with Kelvin Gastelum. I was about to say Kelvin Benjamin. I don't know why the fuck I was about to say Kelvin Benjamin. That fool's not even in the NFL no more. But going into the last 3 fights for Kelvin Gastelum, last fight was against Israel Adesanya. He lost that fight by unanimous decision in April 2019, and that was for the interim middleweight title. Before that, he fought Jacare Souza. He won that fight by split decision in May 2018. And before that, he fought Michael Bisping, and he won that fight by KO in round 1 in November 2017. As for Darren Till, his last fight was against Jorge Masvidal. He lost that fight by KO in round 2 in March 2019, early this year. Before that, he fought Tyron Woodley. He lost that fight by submission via darts choke in round 2 in September 2018. And before that, he fought Stephen Thompson. He won that fight by unanimous decision in May of 2018. All right, going into the breakdown though. So as of today, which is Thursday, October 31st, I got an update while I was taking these fucking notes, and I guess there's a fucking chance that this fight might not take place. And it's not because of weight issues or injury or anything like that, like both of these guys usually have. It's because Till is having visa issues getting into the U.S. or some shit because of his criminal record or, whatever the fuck, from his home country. I'll still do this. I'm still going to do this breakdown really quick, and, but I'm just letting you motherfuckers know, this fight, there's a chance it could not happen, so always be prepared for that. And if this fight does not happen, I am going to be incredibly fucking sad, because, man, this, everybody in the mother's, mainly looking forward to the main event, and, good reason. But I think, me personally, for me, this is the fight that I am, mainly looking forward to. It's just a fucking very intriguing matchup, you know what I mean? And I think this is going to be fight of the night, But regardless, I hear they're going to fly Jared Cannonier out and, have him weigh in just in case to be the replacement for Till in case he can't go. And I heard Kelvin's not really happy with that, but, if it has to be, I guess, what the fuck could he really do besides not take the fight? But I don't know if he'll do that. But, all right, going into the breakdown, though, two technical stand-up assassins going toe-to-toe. And what makes this, even more fun for me is that they're both southpaw fighters, you know what I mean? And neither of them has fought another southpaw recently, you know what I mean, in their past couple bouts. Till, he's going to be coming into this fight with a 3-inch height advantage and a 3-inch reach advantage as well. And, usually every fighter that fights Kelvin has that fucking advantage. When it comes to the significant strikes landed per minute, Kelvin has the edge at just under 4 strikes per minute, and Till landing little over 2.5 strikes per minute. But that's mainly because Till is more of like a calculated striker where he targets an area before he throws, you know what I mean? And he throws like two punches at a time. And it's usually the 1-2 with the, the straight left coming right down the middle. Kelvin, on the other hand, he likes to throw his strikes in combos and in volume, you know what I mean? Both fighters' striking accuracy is around the same at a little over 40%. And when it comes to significant strikes absorbed, they both are at little over 3 shots taken per minute. And when it comes to the takedowns, both fighters average less than a fucking takedown. So, kind of like the last fight, I don't see that being a fucking major factor in this fucking fight. But yeah. And with that being said, I feel like this is just gonna be a fucking straight up 3-round war, a stand up war for 3 rounds. Majority of the first round, I feel like it'll probably be a feel out process. But once these motherfuckers figure each other out and get their timing down, that's when shit start gonna get crazy. You know what I mean? Shit start gonna get crazy. What the fuck I just say? With both fighters being technical strikers, though, I think it's going to come down to who gets sloppy first and, pays the price. It's hard for me to see this going the distance, but it definitely could. But for me, it's hard to see. I feel like these motherfuckers going to slug it out and someone's going to go down. You hear my annoying-ass, fat-ass dog? Always does this when I'm recording shit. But yeah. As we've seen in Gastelum's previous fights, though, he has a hell of a fucking chin, and his head is big as fuck. So, of course, that helps when it comes to taking shots upstairs. Till, on the other hand, he got knocked the fuck out his last fight against Jorge, and he even got dropped against Woodley before he got submitted, you know what I mean? Which led to the submission. But those fights were at welterweight, where Till, was cutting a huge amount of weight, and, which definitely could have fucked his ability up to take shots, and, big possibility. And with this fight being at middleweight, he should be able to take attacks a lot better. But when it's someone like Kelvin who's hitting you, you know what I mean, the motherfucker has bricks in his hands. And, you know. And with this being a 3-round fight, though, I think that, you know, that might suit better for Kelvin. I like to think he has better cardio. And he'll be able to throw those high volume of strikes and not worry too much about gassing out in you know, the later rounds of the 4th and 5th and shit. You know, he could actually just go balls out these 3 rounds and, you know, do his thing. But I'm predicting this to be fight of the night, like I said, and I cannot wait to fucking watch it. If it doesn't get fight of the night, obviously they're probably gonna give it to Masvidal and Diaz, like they always give it to the main event fighters. But yeah, I can't wait for this fucking fight. Hopefully it goes down. Please, MMA gods, let this fucking fight go down. Let them both make weight, make it to the fight, and put on a fucking show. But alright, going with my prediction for this fight, though, I think I'm going to go with Kelvin. I think he, you know, he'll catch Till off guard with the volume of strikes and the speed. Because a lot of people, you know, anytime anyone breaks down, you know, Kelvin's, like, you know, how Kelvin fights and everything, a very underrated aspect of his game is his fucking speed. The speed in his hands is very fucking fast, you know what I mean, for a middleweight. And he was a welterweight, you know what I mean, so he's bringing that speed, and he really utilizes it perfectly. And, you know, he catches a lot of people off guard with that speed. He even caught Adesanya off guard a couple times, you know. But yeah, I think he's gonna out-aggress him and just beat him to the punch. You know what I mean? Not let Till get off first. You know, just end up catching him and possibly knocking him out. It's hard to see this fight going the distance, like I said, with the stylistic matchup. But if it does, like I said, I'll give that to Kelvin as well. But yeah, I think Kelvin takes it by KO in round 2 or 3, though. Going into the main event of the night, it is the welterweight bout between Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal. Going into the last 3 fights, starting with Masvidal. His last fight was against Ben Askren. He won that fight by KO with the knee heard around the world. Ended that shit in 5 seconds. I highly doubt that you guys haven't seen it yet, but if you haven't seen it yet, here it is. But nah, yeah, he won that fight in round 1 by KO in July 2019. Before that, he fought Darren Till. He won that fight by KO in round 1 in March 2019. And before that, he fought Stephen Thompson, and he lost that fight by unanimous decision in November 2017. As for Nate Diaz, he fought Anthony Pettis last. He won that fight by unanimous decision, and that was in August 2019. And before that, he fought Conor McGregor. He lost that fight by unanimous decision in August of 2016. And before that was the first time he fought Conor McGregor, and he won that fight by submission with a rear naked choke in round 2 in March 2016. But going into the fucking breakdown, though, you know, this is, you know, it's the main event of the night. It's going to be a fun scrap, whether, you know, whoever wins. It doesn't fucking matter. I think it's going to be a fucking dope fucking fight. And, you know, where neither goes for a fucking takedown the whole fight, unless it's in the later rounds when, you know, either starts to slow down. But this whole fight, I see it being a fucking boxing match pretty much, you know. But Diaz is coming into this fight with a 1-inch height advantage and a 2-inch reach advantage. And as we always seen, Diaz knows how to use that reach advantage, you know what I mean? Both fighters are boxing first fighters, you know what I mean, like I said. And they both throw really good combos. Honestly, both of these motherfuckers are very similar to each other, you know, except the fact that Nate is a southpaw and Jorge fights, you know, at orthodox. But when comparing the way that they fight, it's very fucking similar. You know, Jorge keeps his guard up a little better, I think, but very similar. This fight is honestly one that probably should have and could have happened fucking years ago at lightweight. But it's crazy how, you know, shit's been going the last couple years with the UFC, and here they are in 2019, you know what I mean? Fighting at fucking welterweight, you know, for a title. It's a belt, you know, they're fighting for a belt, but more so like the title of the baddest motherfucker on the planet. And, you know, they actually made a fucking belt for it. And they're going to have Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson come in and put it on the winner, I guess. I don't fucking know. Anyways, let's get into the breakdown, though. Both fighters land over 4 significant strikes per minute, and both fighters have a 45% accuracy with their strikes. When it comes to the strikes absorbed, both fighters take about 3 shots per minute, with Nate taking about half a punch more. Jorge has the edge with defense. Like I said, I think, I think he does better with keeping his guard up, and it shows right there with the defense. With Nate, his defense being a little over 50%. When it comes to the takedown department, both fighters average, over 1 takedown each in 15 minutes, but Jorge averages a little more, being a little under 2 takedowns, takedowns a fight, not a minute, my bad. But like I said earlier, though, I don't think this fight goes to the ground unless it's in the late stages and, where one gets tired. But I think it'll just be a straight up stand up boxing match majority of the bout with, a few leg kicks here and there. But, and with this being a 5-rounder, I don't see either of them wanting to waste energy with grappling, not like that, They also probably want to put on a fucking show, because with all the fucking hype that was behind this goddamn fight, there's no fucking way they want to come in and give a fucking boring showing, you know what I mean? But, I think Jorge is, faster, and I think he needs to use that to his advantage this fight against Nate. He needs to get on the inside, throw his combos, and, with the hands, and get right back out before Nate could, engage and try to throw his counter, and then do it all over again. Get right back, engage, and get right the fuck out. But, he can't fight at the pace of Nate, because no fucking way Jorge has better cardio than Nate, you know what I mean? And he will fuck himself in the long run if he tries to either keep up with or try to outpace Nate. That's the worst thing you could fucking do, you know what I mean? He needs to fight this shit at his own pace, and slow Nate down with body shots and chopping leg kicks, which, Nate has never been one to, check leg kicks like that. And he, that's never fucking changed. So if he could do that, that'd be fucking great for him. And once he gets Nate, I said that right. What the fuck is wrong with me? Once he gets Nate thinking too much about those fucking leg kicks, then go up top. You know what I'm saying? Nate has shown to, have a very good and a very durable chin. So Jorge will need to make this a strategic fight and break Nate down as the fight goes on. Could he knock Nate out? Very possible. As anyone could get fucking knocked out. But, it more than likely won't happen. But if it does happen, it'll probably be a TKO and not a KO, like, the one shot that he landed on Darren Till. You know what I mean? If it's a TKO, he's just gonna break Nate down throughout the fight until the ref stops it, pretty much. That's how I see. If it goes to a stoppage. But, as for Nate, though, I think the way he wins this fight is by taking advantage of the cardio difference between them, like I said earlier. As we know, Nate could go all 5 rounds of fights with the same pace, that he started with in the beginning of the fight. You can't say the same about Jorge, you know what I mean? He usually slows down past the second round. Nate needs to make this a dirty fight, get Jorge pushed up against the fence, and work that dirty boxing, you know what I mean? And rip the fucking body up in the clinch. And, exactly like how he did when he fought both McGregor and Pettis. Get him up against the fucking cage, beat up the body, throw short elbows, and, get in the fucking clinch. And his best shots, Nate's best shots are the 1-2. You know what I mean? The 1-2 and his shots up against the cage when, he's ripping up the fucking body. And the moment, when he's ripping up the body, the moment he sees his fucking opponent put their guard down to block the body, he goes right upstairs and attacks the fucking head, you know what I mean? And vice versa. It'd be hard to see Nate bully Jorge like that, like he did Pettis, you know what I mean? But if he does, it'll be when Jorge starts to slow down and, and as Nate stays at his same pace. But anything could fucking happen in this fight, and Nate could even, he could even attack that fucking random takedown late in the fight when Jorge's getting tired and, go for a sneaky submission, which I wouldn't doubt. But I would like to think that that's going to be very unlikely. But if either were to win by submission, obviously it'll be Nate. You know what I mean? There's no argument there. But one main thing he needs to dictate to win this fight is that fucking cardio. And I think that's what's going to fucking happen. That's usually, one of the main factors in Nate's victories in his fights. You know what I mean? Like I said, though, this fight could have happened and should have probably happened years ago. But it is what it is. I'm pretty happy it's happening now in general, and I can't wait to fucking watch that shit. As for my prediction, though, I want to say I hate that one of these dudes has to fucking lose this fight, because I want both of them to fucking win, as I'm a big fan, old school fan of both these dudes. I'm okay with whoever wins, but if I have to pick someone, I'm gonna go with Diaz. Mainly because of the cardio difference. I sound like a broken record saying it, but it's going to play a big factor into this fucking shit. Like I said earlier, this being a 5-round fight too, I think it'll benefit Nate with that. More than it will Jorge. And if it goes past the second and third rounds, then it'll definitely, benefit Nate. I just think the moment Nate sees Jorge start to slow down is exactly when he's going to start picking it up. You know what I mean? And, just start to pick Jorge apart with the shots up against the cage, in the middle of the cage, wherever the fight goes. He has to watch for Jorge's switch punches, though, you know what I mean? Because Jorge, like he did with the Darren Till fight, that's what he knocked Darren out with. He blitzed in with a switch punch and caught him. Diaz has to watch out for that and, circle the fuck out, get right back in and do his own fucking thing and throw his punches back. But, as long as Diaz can make Jorge, tire himself out, which I think he can do and he will do, that's when he's going to start chopping him down little by little, as the fight goes on. And wins the fight either by decision or a sneaky submission if he gets a takedown, later in the rounds. But more so than not, I want to say he's going to win this fight by a unanimous decision. Yeah. But alright, y'all, that was my UFC 244 preview and breakdown episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. What do I end the show with? Oh yeah, I got some pretty big news. So Bare Knuckle Boxing FC 9, that's happening this month, next month, it's almost November, November 15th. I will be flying, November 16th. I'll be flying down to Mississippi to actually cover the event with my sponsor, Vince, with my nerdy neighbor. He's actually the marketing manager for Bare Knuckle Boxing. So I'm going to fly down there. He hooked me up with some shit. So, yeah, I'm going to have a good fucking time. And I'm not like, I don't have a media pass or anything, but I'm going to cover as much as I possibly can with, the privilege that I do have. But, yeah, I'm thinking about even doing like my first vlog episode and just vlog the whole trip, the airport, the flight, all that shit. So I don't know how that'll go, because if you've seen my introduction video, I said how I deal with anxiety and shit like that. So I don't know how good I'll do, but I'll definitely do my best, and we'll see how that goes. But alright guys, thanks for tuning in. This was Nahh Podcast. I am your host, Sani Nahh. I will see you guys next time. Peace. Enjoy the event Saturday, guys.